New York Times #1 bestsellers, including Killing the SS, the most recent one. Bill, I want to get your take on the Cohen hearings this week because it was a big story this week, and I really want it to go away. He is now testified, I think, more times than he actually had clients in total. So do you take anything of value out of what Michael Cohen did in front of Congress?
Not really. The man's out for vengeance. I mean, I think he's weaving a tale that has some truth to some allegations, but certainly it is tainted evidence, and it will all go away when the Mueller report comes out. So once the Mueller report is released, and that rumor is next week we'll know something, that'll override Cohen. But as I just told Beck, if the Democrats in the House continue to try to subpoena people to divert away from actually improving the country by passing legislation and wasting everybody's time with this stuff, this will never end. So all the people on the Trump team have got to say, it's not going to testify. So go ahead, subpoena, we're going to win. We have the right to take the fifth and not say anything, and that's what we're going to do. So that would shut that down. But do I think that Michael Cohen has any validity to the country today? No, I don't.
What do you think about the way the media has handled this? In that, they treated Michael Cohen as completely untrustworthy and a man with absolutely no credibility through the entire campaign. They mocked him constantly, which I think honestly was the right thing to do, because I never had any faith in Michael Cohen telling the truth about anything. But now he's suddenly the most credible man in America. He's basically George Washington in front of Congress. It's almost impossible to overestimate how disingenuous this stuff is.
But this is not a surprise to anyone that since President Trump took office, they've been trying to get him out of there. And, there's no downside for the Democratic Party to continue to accuse the President of the United States of anything and everything, every day, every second, every way. Because they'll
Bill,
wear people down, which is what they want to do.
May I ask you this, Bill? The one thing that several Republican senators said during his testimony, and I found this so interesting, and I'd love to hear your take on this. They kept saying, this is where you start? I mean, you usually start an investigation with somebody credible, somebody big, somebody that has something. He had nothing, and what he did have, he had no credibility to present. So does this say something about what they do have or don't in reality?
Well, I mean, you got to feel that Mueller, whatever the Democrats have, Mueller knows about. So that'll be put to bed this time. When we talk a week from today, we may have the scenario about Donald Trump and what he did or did not do. But I'll tell you this, when I heard the Cohen stuff, and I didn't really take him seriously and wasn't going to pay a lot of time to him, when I heard him say, Trump really didn't want to be president, he was just doing this for his brand. Remember that? Remember when he said that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a lie. I mean, I know that personally. I had dozens of conversations with Donald Trump about policy, where he asked me tons of questions. And why would he do that if he didn't care and he was just campaigning to be president for his brand? Why would he take?
So let me ask you this: maybe, because I believe the truth is somewhere in between. I think Donald Trump would have loved to be president, wanted to be president, ran seriously as president, but also created the counter narrative in his own head. That he was also just doing this as a raising of his profile, which would allow him to lose. And I'm not sure if in the end, I mean, he's not delusional. In the end, I'm not sure he thought this was a lock that he was going to win. So I could hear him saying to others, this is a big publicity thing anyway, in his inner circle. So when and if he did lose, he could say, I never intended on winning anyway. This is a win for us. Because that's the kind of world I think that he lives in. Do you think there's any truth to that?
Yeah, I think that's look, I'm writing a book on him right now.
Yeah. You can use
okay?
that.
I know how he operates.
I demand some
he could
royalties.
have easily said that in casual conversation. Well, if we don't win, look at our brand. We're the most successful brand in the world now. Could have said that.
Correct.
But you don't, on the night before the election, get on a plane and go to Michigan when your people have just told you the internal polling in that state shows you could win, but you got to get there for a midnight rally. So he gets on a plane and, come on. The guy, if you look at his schedule, his campaign schedule, it was twice as that of Hillary Clinton. He worked twice as hard as she did. So all of this stuff is what they call out of context. And in my research of the Trump history book, 90% of the reportage on Donald Trump is out of context, where there may be a truth and a kernel, but they spin it into this big thing. And it's just so dishonest. Look, I'm not in business. The Trump book is not a pro-Trump book. There's stuff in there that people are going to go, whoa, I didn't know he did that. But if you want to be honest, and I do, this guy has not got a break from the media or the Democratic Party once, not once, since he's declared for the presidency.
I want to switch gears on topics here in just a second, Bill, but before we do, can you give us an outline of when the book is coming out? And
September.
In September? Do you have a
I'm
title?
writing 2,000 words a day, Stu.
Oh.
I got about 40% of it done. Research is churning as it, but it'll be out in September.
It'll be really interesting to read a book about Trump that doesn't come from the I praise at the altar of Donald Trump or the I can't stand Donald Trump, he's Satan viewpoint.
There's never been one.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever I can't think of one. That's for sure.
No, there isn't any.
Yeah, all right, and that's
what makes this book a bear to write is because when I go into the research, I can't count on it being true. Can I give you a fast story? Or do we have to?
Yeah, please. Yeah, you got a couple minutes.
Okay. This will. I think you'll be very interested to hear this. So, remember that headline, "Best Sex I Ever Had," Marla Maples?
Yes.
One of the most famous headlines in American journalism history, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I tell you exactly where that came from.
Really?
Exactly. All right? But in order to do that, in order to get the person who is in the room, when that was given to the New York Post, I had to go through 15 different people. I finally got her. I finally got the woman.
Wow.
All right? Mm-hmm. Who heard it. and it's in the stories in the book. But it went unbelievable labyrinth. And the stuff that had been written about that headline was all a bunch of garbage. But you'll read the truth in the book.
Wow. Looking forward to it in September from Bill O'Reilly. Bill, we got about one more minute here. Can you give me a minute on North Korea, the breakup of the meeting, as well as Trump's comments on Otto Warmbier, which are getting some criticism?
Okay. So Trump's negotiating style is to flatter the person. He wasn't even thinking of poor Otto and his family. All right? Flatter, flatter, flatter. Ingratiate yourself. They'll be more inclined to see my point of view. He does that 100% of the time in negotiations. Okay, number one. Number two, he underestimated the psychosis of Kim Jong-un. He's a psychotic. So he thought he could reason with the man. The United States put forth a lot of things that would have helped North Korea and Un himself, and Un wouldn't move. Trump learned a lesson. They'll squeeze him with sanctions. Down the line, the Army will probably depose Un, and that's where we are.
Does it make you uncomfortable hearing an American president flatter a person like Kim Jong-un?
You know, maybe it would if it were anybody but Donald Trump, because I know what the guy is doing. He's always done it, and he wants the deal. It's the art of the deal. So if he has to say BS about somebody in a flattering way, he's going to say it.
Just the way he does business. Yeah, and he wrote about that in The Art of the Deal. I mean, he's
been very successful in that kind of a situation. But I feel bad for the Warmbier family.
Yeah.
But I can tell you he wasn't even thinking about that.
Yep. Yep. Okay, Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. You can be a subscriber there and get his commentary every day, as well as the book coming out in September on Donald Trump. We look forward to it. Bill, thanks so much for coming on today.
All right, guys.
Thanks.